Part 3 of turning my Toyota Prius into my home. Hi, I'm Holly, and this is my dog Emma Bear. In 2023, we took an 8-week, almost 10,000-mile road trip around the country. I folded down the seats and made it work, but honestly, it was pretty crowded. Every morning and every evening, I needed to rearrange the entire car. This is the third video in my Prius build series and how we took my car from this to this over the course of 8 weekends in the spring of 2024. In the video before this one, we got started on the Prius by taking the seats out and starting to template the back. When we got to work the following weekend, we jumped right into finishing the back templating, and this piece of wood we're working on is supposed to fit right over the spare tire. However, when we tried to slide it in, we realized there was no way to actually get it in there and get it around the components to fit. So what was supposed to be one piece of wood became two. We're getting ready to slice it in half right now, and it's going to fit together like a puzzle. A few more things happened before it looked quite like this, but this was the result. Just a few more trims and cutouts to make it fit even better. And then we took a quick detour to find some light bulbs to illuminate the inside of the car better, and also, obviously, just do, a quick little photo shoot. We got started late because we had other things to do today, and we're starting to lose daylight, but it's okay because we've got light bulbs and we're getting back into it. We're doing more work on the spare tire cover that's going to help those pieces of wood sit flat on top of that spare tire. Rocco's doing some quick sanding, and then we are going to glue and staple these support pieces into place. We decided it was about time to wrap up for the night, so we took a few last looks at what we were working on, and then I decided it was a great time to take my passenger seat and some of my car parts home and get them out of his shop. Who is this third person, you may be asking? This is Cynthia. She's a good friend of mine, and she's also married to Rocco. While she already had plenty on her plate with her job and her life, she definitely helped us more and more as this project went on. Emma and Julep, the dogs, have been hanging out outside, so it's time to get her into the car, and I'm going to see these guys in the morning. Good night. The next day, it had stopped raining, and it was time to make some more progress on the bench in the back of the car. I'm taking a look at the pieces that we did yesterday and just seeing how they fit back there. And Rocco and I get to discussing the bench again. It's time for me to template the bench properly, but it's tough because it's not a flat surface at all. So I'm just using a piece of wood that's approximately the right size to kind of hold the pieces of paper in place while I template. As you will see throughout this build series, there are always multiple things going on, multiple thoughts happening for everybody. And as I'm starting to template the bench, I realize that the seatbelts are hanging down, they're in the way, and I either need to take them all the way out or tuck them behind this panel. It turns out to be a little more involved than I thought, and I don't want to break anything, and I'm not comfortable yet just ripping everything apart, so I decide to wait until Rocco has a minute to ask him about it. While I work out how to template the corners of the bench, Cynthia plays air guitar while Rocco gets the next big piece of wood ready to cut. We've carefully measured what the width of the bench is going to be, and it's just going to be straight and flat in the middle, so I really just need to know where to cut out for the back corners of the bench. And we get those bad boys cut! As I mentioned before, I was having trouble getting the seatbelts tucked in the panel back on all the way, so Rocco helped me with that before we did the next thing. Rocco has been working on these blocks that are going to secure the bench top to the car, and we're starting to figure out how these three components are really going to come together. There are the blocks that screw into the car, the bench top is going to screw into the blocks, and then we also need a front support piece that we need to template, trace, and cut. This is a funky wavy edge to capture, so what we've done is taped paper on a board, and now Rocco is holding it while I trace along the edge of this not uniform and not symmetrical edge of where the seat would normally be. I'm now trying to wrap my mind around the fact that the paper is going to be traced onto cardboard because we need the inverse of the paper template, and then we're going to take the cardboard template and trace it onto the wood to cut it out. It's now time to cut out the cardboard template, and it has a bunch of little details that I just want to make sure I cut accurately. If you look closely, you can see that there are two little rectangle kind of teeth, and they actually are going to fit nicely right into these two slots in the car to keep it in place. While I finish cutting out this template, Rocco's back in the car, continuing to work on the blocks. We don't want to do any destructive work to the car, so he's matching the holes that are already there. And we're seeing how the early bench seat fits on top of those blocks. Emma has stopped by for a visit after her walk with Cynthia and Julep. Hi, babes. Okay, bye. Rocco's getting ready to make some real holes in the bench, and I'm just kind of support staff at the moment. As he drills the first hole that's also supposed to go into the block underneath, he realizes he mismeasured, but that's okay. As soon as he's done drilling the 4 actual holes, he takes the bench out, cuts a piece of dowel, and patches up that little accidental hole. Time for a quick sawdust vacuum in between. And it seems like this is going to work, so we're going to take this bench piece out and move on. And we are cutting a strip of wood because it's time to cut that weird, funky, wavy piece. I trace the cardboard onto the wood, and now I'm going to start my 3rd jigsaw experience. I'm doing okay, but I'm having trouble keeping the jigsaw flat against the wood while I cut out all the detail bits. But you can't get better without practicing, so I keep going. While he gently points out that I keep tilting the saw. It does help that he's holding it in place and I'm not trying to do both things at once, but I'm realizing this is definitely an acquired skill. We figure he can probably get the edges a little bit flatter, so he takes over. But I will do the corner. We decide that it's about time to wrap up for the day, so I do some other things around the shop and tidy up. Well, he kind of cleans this up, does a little more detail work because it does need to fit as tightly as possible. So this was our first 2-day weekend of working on the Prius. We started meeting earlier and working later as time went on, but we got the ball rolling pretty well this weekend. We couldn't see any harm in leaving the bench support blocks there, so they just stayed there all week. And it was time to find my Emma Bear and head on out.